Welcome to Tech Corner. My name is Mr. Positive. We're on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Mr. Positive Live. Check us out today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and let us know what you think of Mr. Positive Live. Today on Mr. Positive Live, we're doing a review, or my personal review, of the Samsung Galaxy A16 5G, which was released October 25th, 2025. Okay, now it runs Android 14 and it's going to get 6 major upgrades over the next 7 years. So that's pretty good. So 6 upgrades over the next 7 years. That's pretty decent. Now we're going to go over the device, what I think about the device, and for the price, you're getting a pretty decent package. Okay, Samsung's been doing a really good job over the last few years with their Galaxy A series of devices. Last year's A15 was really solid. The A14 was also a pretty decent smartphone. And the A13 really wasn't a slouch either in its own right. You're getting at least 4 or 8 gigs of RAM. You're getting 5,000 milliamp hour battery with 25 watt fast charging. So that's pretty respectful. You're getting a 6.7 inch OLED display with a basic 50 megapixel camera that shoots at 1080p. Okay, so you're getting 3 cameras, and we'll go over that today here on Positive Talk Daily. Okay, let's take a look at the phone in the back. So you can see it's kind of a mirror type finish, a mirror type kind of thing going on. So I'm not trying to mess with people or anything, but that's the truth. So what we got here is a basic 50 megapixel camera here. You got a 5 megapixel ultra wide, and you do get the 2 megapixel micro camera. I think the 2 megapixel is kind of dumb. A lot of people don't really use that. So maybe adding a higher end 5 megapixel micro camera could be something, or just getting rid of that altogether. Okay, last year's Motorola phones, they reduced it down to 2 cameras and got rid of the micro camera, and they just used the 2 cameras to give you that same effect. So you could try doing some different things. So this might look like it's made of glass, but it is plastic. Okay, it's a plastic device. There is no wireless charging here. It does have 25 watt fast charging through the charging brick if you have the brick. As I've said about other Samsung devices, a lot of them don't come with a charging brick in the box anymore. You have to go out and either buy one from Samsung or have one at home. Does come with the wire, the paperwork, the stuff like that, your usual booklets and stuff like that. So you do get Type-C on the bottom, so you have your Type-C. You do have stereo speakers on here, which is good. They got rid of the headphone jack, so that's another downer. They did get rid of the headphone jack. So that's kind of a bummer. You do have a built-in fingerprint reader. Not built-in fingerprint reader, but you do have a fingerprint scanner right here. And it's also your power button as well. You do have your up and down volume rocker. You can see it right above there. And then the power button / fingerprint scanner. And you do get a 6.7 inch OLED display with 800 nits of brightness. So you really don't have any problems with, there's some glare, but that brightness goes really high up, and you can see right there. Okay, so it gets really bright, and it's fast. It's got a 90 hertz refresh rate. There's still a little lag here and there with One UI, but it's getting better. The Samsung devices have been improving over the years. You do get your AI stuff. You do get your built-in Google stuff. You get your normal toggles and stuff like that. You do have your normal Samsung apps, your normal Google apps built in on the phone. Okay, you do have a noise canceling microphone up there. You do have again, no other buttons on the side and stuff like that. Now it does come with NFC, so that's a decent thing as well. Okay, so you're getting a decent device. It is mostly a glass. It's mostly a plastic back with. Now this year they did add. This is probably the best thing they've done so far in the last year or so with their phones. It's not a splash proof anymore. They did add IP64 water and dust resistant. So not IP68, IP64. So you can submerge this in water for about 15 minutes. You could dump, if somehow it dropped in a toilet or something, you'd be okay. Okay, so you are getting an Exynos chipset here. It is a octa-core 2.4 gigahertz processor. It's an Exynos 1330 chipset, which was also found in the Samsung Galaxy A35 from this past year. So you're getting a chipset from the A35 down to this device. Now, one of the other downfalls, and I know this phone runs around $250 to $200, okay? But one of the problems with this phone is the lack of 4K video recording. I think that they should be doing that. Now, if you go up to the A25 from last year, you will get 4K video recording, and you have to go up to either the A25 or the A35. I don't believe they're releasing an A26 this year, so I think it's this one. They did away with the A20 series, I think, and they're sticking with this one and the A36, which I think is coming soon. There's so many Samsung A series phones, it's really hard to count how many they've released over the last few years. You are going to get Android 14 out of the box. Should be getting Android 15 very, very soon with One UI 6.1 on board. That Exynos 1330 chipset with a Dimensity, with a MediaTek Dimensity 6300. There are different versions of this device. I would rather personally have the MediaTek Dimensity 6300 chipset versus the one here, but you are getting the Exynos 1330 on here, which is not a bad chipset by any means. You can play games like Call of Duty Mobile, no problem, even with high settings turned up. It does come with 90 hertz refresh rate. Would like to see 120 hertz, but that's okay. Getting 128 gigs on this model. There is a 256 gig model. There's also a 128 and a 64 gig model. There's a 50 megapixel camera, the 5 megapixel ultra wide, and the 2 megapixel micro camera. LED flash, HDR video recording, 1080p, 30 frames per second. And let's see, single video here, can do 13 megapixel 2.0 on the main camera here. So you're getting a 13 megapixel front-facing camera and the 50 megapixel rear camera. So Samsung does do a good job with these mediocre, budget smartphone cameras. Compared to like Motorola and other companies like TCL, I think they make the best camera package, even though it doesn't record in 4K. Okay, you do get stereo speakers. It does support Wi-Fi 6. You are getting NFC. You are getting a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. You are getting 25 watt fast charging. One thing I will say about Lenovo and the Motorola series of phones, especially the Moto G series, they're bringing down wireless charging as low as the Moto G series. Moto G Power, Moto G Stylus, 5G, they bring in the wireless charging down on those devices. Why can't Samsung do this with these devices? Now, we're not asking for like 25 watt fast charging, but if you could put 15 watt, even 10 watt fast charging on a device like this, because a lot of people own wireless charging pads. And if this phone had that, that'd be a game changer. Now, overall, what you're getting here is a really good package. I'm not gonna dog this phone because you are getting OLED display, which even Lenovo and Motorola is not putting on their devices. You're getting a decent 1080p screen, 800 nits of brightness, so not terrible. 90 hertz refresh rate, that's still pretty good. I'd like to see 120 hertz refresh rate on here, but that would also kill the battery. So by bringing it down to 60 hertz or 90 hertz, 90 hertz is still better than 60 hertz. Now, if you keep it on 60 hertz on the screen, you will conserve more battery life, which is good. Okay. Overall, it does load very, very good. Samsung always does a good job with their smartphones. They're never really complaining. Again, you can see that 90 hertz right there. So Samsung, Facebook loads just fine. Moving over to, Google Play, opening up the Google Play Store, everything loads just fine. Instagram, that kind of lighter application is fine. Games are going to be just fine. And every year, these phones seem to sell out the best for Samsung, even over the S25, the S24, and phones of that nature. Okay, so let me go over the positives first. Again, bright screen, 800 nits of brightness, can't go wrong. Speakers are really loud and are punchy. The colors on the screen are punchy as well, just like the sound is. 20 25 watt fast charging. Not the fastest we've ever seen, but still better than what Google's putting on their Pixel phones. Overall, not bad. The cameras are pretty decent on here. The only downfall to the camera is I would like to see 4K 30 recording, video recording, but for some reason they won't do it. They'll put it on the S25 from A25 from last year, but they won't put it on the A series, lower A series versions. Okay, none of these Samsung AI or Galaxy AI features have made it down this far. We'll have to see if that does happen. I don't think it will because of the processors just not being able to handle it. The S25 has it, but I don't know about this. We'll see. This is a really decent phone. They're hitting it out of the park with the Samsung Galaxy A16 5G, which can be had if you're going through carriers like Metro by T-Mobile. I got mine for free. I paid basically... they got a deal right now. If you go with the highest tier plan of $70, you get this phone for free. Okay, you're basically paying $75 for a $250 smartphone. Okay, so you really can't go wrong. They do have a 256 gig model. They do have a 128 gig model. And for some reason, they have a 64 gig model. Stay away from the 64 gig model. Okay, so again, released back in October of... was announced October 7th, was released on October 25th of 2024. And it runs Android 14. It will get 6 years of updates. Runs Exynos 1330. There's also a European version that runs the MediaTek Dimensity 6300 chipset. And you're also getting a 50 megapixel, you're getting a triple camera setup here in the back, 55 megapixel ultra wide, and you are getting that 2 megapixel micro camera, which again I think is just a junky camera to have anyway. Your 13 megapixel front-facing camera can also record in 1080p, and overall you are getting no headphone jack. So there is no headphone jack on here. You have to go through with Bluetooth, wireless, you can use Bluetooth headphones. That's one of the negatives. They removed the headphone jack from the phone. Not sure why they did that, Samsung, but that's okay. You do get the fingerprint scanner on the front. You can also unlock it with Face Unlock, so that's good. There is built-in NFC, so you don't have to worry about if you're making paperless payments or you're going through at the grocery store and you want to scan, you can do that. Again, overall, good phone package. Samsung knocked it out of the park. The only three gripes with the phone is, again, as I've always said, the lack of a physical charger in the box. I'm going to keep saying every time I make phones. I do luckily have a Samsung charger that is 25 watts, but not everybody does. This comes with your paperwork, okay? You get this, and you get this in the paper. That's it. You get this, and this. That's it. So my gripes with the phone overall is... So as I was saying about my gripes about the phone, again, the charger doesn't come with a charging brick. That's a downfall to me. Let's see here. The removal of the headphone jack kind of sucks. And no wireless charging. Okay. Overall, the chipset on this phone is mid-range at best. You can pretty much game on here. The Geekbench score was 2,090. And the 3D Mark was 360. And your N22 benchmark ranked it at 36,854. So the numbers aren't too shabby for a budget smartphone. Okay, you do get a fingerprint scanner, you do get Face Unlock, so it's not bad. You get a stereo speakers on the bottom, so you can't really go wrong there with Samsung making some changes. You also get IP64, water and dust resistance, not IP68, but it's still better than nothing. And Corning Gorilla Glass 5. Okay? For Mr. Positive Live, I'm Mr. Positive. This is definitely a pass from me. The Samsung Galaxy A16 5G is a no-brainer. Have a great day. Thanks for watching Positive Talk.